Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. Love is powerful, but it's also tricky. If you want a man not just to like you, not just to care for you, but to be addicted to you like crazy, then you got to stop thinking it's all about what you say and start realizing it's about what you don't say. Silence, when used right, is one of the most powerful tools you have in a relationship. See, silence is not weakness. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is strength, discipline, and mystery all rolled into one. And trust me, a man gets hooked when he can't figure you out completely. When you find yourself constantly explaining every choice, every action, and every thought, you are handing over your power piece by piece. The truth is, people respect what they cannot easily access. And when you give a man endless explanations, you strip away the mystery that makes him curious about you in the first place. A woman who feels the need to justify herself all the time appears insecure, even when she's not. And the problem with insecurity is that it makes the other person feel like they have the upper hand, like they can demand answers and you'll always comply. That kind of behavior does not create addiction. It creates comfort, and comfort eventually leads to complacency. If you want a man to stay on his toes, you have to let silence carry some of the weight for you. Think about how powerful it is when you make a decision and stand firm in it without offering a breakdown of why. Maybe you decide not to answer a text right away. Maybe you decline an invitation. Maybe you express a boundary. The moment you follow that with long, drawn-out explanations, you water down your strength. But when you stay quiet, he is left to wonder, left to fill in the blanks himself. That wondering, that curiosity becomes the hook. He starts asking himself questions, and in doing so, he invests more energy into you. Silence creates space in his mind, and space in his mind means you live there rent-free. Most men are used to women trying to overcompensate, trying to be liked, trying to be understood, and trying to smooth things over with constant words. When you don't do that, when you choose restraint over rambling, you set yourself apart. A man will remember the woman who doesn't feel the need to justify her life like a courtroom witness. He'll wonder why she's so secure, why she's so calm, why she doesn't rush to fill the silence. And that wondering is where his addiction begins, because it shows him he doesn't have complete access to you. Explaining too much can also ruin the natural balance of attraction. Let's say you make a choice that he doesn't like. If you start explaining it, you're not only defending yourself, but you're also inviting him to challenge your decision further. You give him leverage he didn't have before. On the other hand, if you simply stand firm, if your silence holds the ground, he has no room to argue with you. He may not agree, but he will respect the strength it takes to be steady without seeking validation. And respect is the soil where love, desire, and long-term interest grow. There's also something deeply magnetic about a woman who doesn't feel pressured to always be understood. Not everything has to be explained, and not every action has to be justified. Sometimes silence communicates that your life is your own, that your choices are yours to make, and that he doesn't need to be in on every detail. This not only protects your independence, but also keeps a man intrigued. Men get addicted to what they cannot fully define. If you're always giving explanations, you remove the intrigue. If you remain silent, you keep a part of yourself untouchable, and that untouchable part is what keeps him hooked. It's also important to realize that silence is not about shutting down or avoiding connection. It's about having the discipline to not overshare, to not over-explain, to not let every emotion spill out in a rush of words. It's about allowing him to lean into you, to pursue you, to ask questions, and to want to know more. If you explain less, he will want more, and wanting more is the seed of obsession. Over time, when you practice this silence rule, you'll notice how men react differently to you. They'll lean in closer. They'll ask more questions. They'll chase harder because you're not spoon feeding them every answer. They'll realize that you're not a woman who needs approval for her decisions. You're a woman who owns them without apology. And that kind of presence is not just attractive, it's addictive. One of the most powerful lessons in love and relationships is learning that not everything deserves your reaction. Many people think that by responding to every word, every comment, or every action, they're showing involvement and care. But the truth is the opposite. The more you react, the more you train someone to control your emotions. When a man sees that he can push certain buttons and always get a reaction, he feels in charge. He learns that with just a small comment or a certain behavior, he can spark anger, jealousy, or insecurity. And the moment he knows that the balance of power shifts, if you want him addicted to you, you have to hold on to your control, and that means choosing silence over reaction in the moments that test your strength. Not reacting doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value your peace and self-respect more than pointless drama. When a man throws out little challenges, whether it's teasing you, ignoring your call, or making a comment that's designed to test your patience, your silence speaks louder than anything you could say. It tells him that you're not easily shaken, that you won't dance to his tune every time he plays it. That self-control makes him respect you, and respect is what makes a man chase harder. There is a certain mystery in silence that reacting can never give you. When you stay calm, when you don't jump to defend yourself or argue back, he is left wondering what you're thinking, how you feel, and why you're not giving him the response he expected. That wondering makes him lean towards you, makes him pay more attention, and makes him put more effort into figuring you out. Men become addicted to what they cannot fully understand, and nothing is harder to read than a woman who chooses not to react to every provocation. By practicing this kind of silence, you create an environment where your words carry more weight. When you do speak, it matters because he knows you don't waste your energy on nonsense, and that is what keeps him drawn to you. Your ability to stay calm, to stay composed, and to remain in control of yourself no matter what he does. Walking away from drama without saying a single word is one of the strongest moves you can make in a relationship. A lot of people believe that arguing back, defending yourself, or explaining endlessly will fix the situation, but in reality, it usually makes things worse. When a man tries to pull you into unnecessary conflict and you refuse to take the bait, your silence becomes louder than shouting ever could. It shows him that you refuse to waste your energy on chaos, and instead, you value your peace above all else. That level of discipline makes you stand out because most people are quick to fight, quick to prove themselves, and quick to argue. When you don't, he starts to see you as different, stronger, and far more attractive. Drama thrives on attention. It feeds on reaction. When you argue back, when you raise your voice, when you defend yourself in circles, you are feeding the fire. But when you remove yourself calmly and silently, the fire starves. There's no fuel, no spark, no oxygen to keep it going. This not only saves you from unnecessary stress, but also puts the weight of reflection on him. He is left alone with his words and actions, forced to think about what he did without your energy to distract him from it. That silence can hit harder than any argument because it makes him look inward. A woman who knows how to walk away from drama shows that she cannot be controlled by negativity. She proves that her emotions are hers to command, not someone else's playground. And for a man, that is both frustrating and addictive at the same time. It frustrates him because he can't manipulate you into emotional outbursts, and it addicts him because he realizes you have a strength he can't break. The truth is, the person who stays calm during conflict is always the one in control, and control is magnetic. The more you practice this silence rule, the more he will learn that drama doesn't work on you. He will adjust his behavior, respect your boundaries, and see you as someone who cannot be shaken easily. And that is exactly what creates the kind of pull that keeps him chasing, because your peace becomes the very thing he craves. One of the fastest ways to lose mystery in a relationship is by oversharing. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you leave no room for curiosity, no space for discovery, and no reason for him to chase deeper. Attraction grows when there are layers to peel back, when there are things he learns about you over time rather than all at once. But if you put your entire life, past, and emotions on the table immediately, you take away the excitement of pursuit. Men are natural problem solvers and explorers. They want to uncover, figure out, and earn the right to know you. When you stop oversharing, you give him that challenge, and the challenge itself is what makes him stay invested. When you meet someone and you're too quick to talk about your history, your wounds, your insecurities, or even every little detail about your daily life, you unknowingly make yourself too predictable. Predictability is comforting, but it doesn't create obsession. Obsession comes from a place of mystery, from not knowing what's coming next, from being curious enough to want more. When you hold back some details, when you allow silence to protect parts of your story, you make yourself intriguing. A man addicted to you is a man who feels like there's always more to discover, and that feeling is only possible if you resist the urge to overshare. There's also a powerful energy in privacy. Not everything about you is meant for everyone to know, and not everything needs to be spoken aloud in order to be valued. When you choose to keep certain things to yourself, you signal that your life has depth, that your experiences are treasures to be earned, not freely given. That makes a man feel like he has to step up, work harder, and prove himself to gain access to the deeper parts of who you are. And when he feels like he has to earn it, his emotional investment grows stronger. Oversharing often comes from a desire to be accepted or validated, but in reality, it usually backfires. What truly holds power is being selective, intentional, and even silent about certain parts of yourself. That silence keeps him hooked because he can sense that there's more beneath the surface, and that curiosity will keep him chasing you relentlessly. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is chasing someone's attention when they start to pull away. The truth is, the more you beg for someone's focus, the more you lower your value in their eyes. Attention that is demanded never feels the same as attention that is freely given, and the more you try to grab at it, the less satisfying it becomes. When a man senses that you are desperate for his calls, texts, or time, he will subconsciously lose respect for you because he knows you've placed him on a pedestal. But when you refuse to beg, when you hold your silence and stay calm, even when he is distant, you create a powerful shift. Suddenly, he has to wonder why you're not chasing, why you're not desperate, and why you seem unaffected. That wondering pulls him back toward you far quicker than pleading ever. Could men become addicted to women who show self-control, who know their worth, and who never compromise their dignity for scraps of attention? Begging tells him he is the prize, but silence tells him you are. If he pulls away and you don't chase, he will start to feel the absence of your energy. That absence is louder than words, because when someone is used to your presence, your attention, and your care, the sudden quiet becomes undeniable. He will feel it, and instead of you begging for him, he will find himself seeking you out just to regain that connection. It's important to remember that attention should be a natural exchange, not something you fight for. When you sit in silence instead of asking, "Why didn't you call?" or "Do you even care?" you're teaching him that your value doesn't decrease just because he's distracted. You're showing him that you're not going to compete for his time because you already know what you bring to the table. That kind of confidence is magnetic, and it draws him closer because men are captivated by women who are secure enough to let silence speak for them. When you stop begging for his attention, you create an environment where he realizes your love is not guaranteed if he doesn't put in effort. That realization makes him step up, makes him work harder, and ultimately makes him addicted to earning the very attention he once took for granted. Silence during conflict is one of the most powerful tools you can use in a relationship because it protects both your peace and your dignity. When arguments start, emotions rise quickly, words are thrown without thought, and damage is often done that can't be easily repaired. Most people feel the urge to fight back, to defend themselves, to make their point heard louder than the other person's voice, but in reality, speaking in anger rarely solves anything. It only adds fuel to the fire. Choosing silence in the middle of a heated conflict shows strength, not weakness. It proves that you value control over chaos and that your emotions are yours to command. That level of discipline is unforgettable, and it sets you apart from anyone else he may have argued with in the past. When you stop feeding the conflict with words, the other person is forced to confront themselves. They no longer have your reactions to bounce off of, and without that, they must sit with the weight of their own actions and words. Silence acts like a mirror. It reflects back everything they're putting out without you having to add a single thing. This can be frustrating for him in the moment, but it creates a deep respect over time because it shows him you are not someone who loses control just because he did. Men admire women who can hold their composure in difficult moments because it's rare and it's powerful. There is also something magnetic about a person who doesn't let conflict shake their presence. A man will argue and expect a reaction, yelling, tears, defensiveness, but when he doesn't get it, he is left unsettled, curious, and even drawn closer. He starts to think more carefully about his words in the future because he realizes that silence is not an easy escape, it's a standard you live by. Over time, this shifts the way he approaches disagreements because he knows you won't entertain unnecessary drama. Silence during conflict doesn't mean you avoid communication forever. It means you choose the right time to speak. When emotions have cooled and clarity has returned, that delayed response makes your words more impactful because he knows you don't speak in haste. You speak with intention, and intention is what makes him addicted to your presence because it shows you are in control of yourself and the relationship in a way he cannot ignore.